Peace, family. With Urban Nerves, I've been going in and out of different juvenile prisons. And in having conversations with a lot of the youth that's in these juvenile facilities, I've learned that these children, they understand right from wrong. When I was talking to one of the children, I asked him, he was locked up for a shooting. He shot two people. And I said to him, you know right from wrong. I said, if I threatened your mama or I was going to do something to one of your family members, you would want to harm me because you know that it's wrong. He said, yes, I understand right from wrong. But one thing I quickly learned was this 16-year-old did not understand that or was not able to comprehend the full ramifications of his actions. A lot of times, these children, they know when they're doing wrong, but they're not thinking about the full aspect of the consequences. That's something that's not really being taught to these children. Children growing up with underdeveloped brains, they don't have enough life experiences to understand what the full punishment could be. A lot of these children are living in the moment. They living in the right now. And when I go into these facilities and I'm talking to these children, these teenagers, these youth, you should see them when they're taken out of their environment and they turn back into just regular teenagers again, not realizing that, hey, you facing 16 to 40, you facing life. You shot three people. You did this, or you did this to this woman, and you did all these things. A lot of times, these kids, they're not thinking about the consequences of their actions the way that an adult would, the way that an adult with a fully developed brain would. And this is where the community, we need to reinvest back into our children. Our children need help. Our children, they start off like this. They're not born real N-words or bad B's. They're not born gangsters. They're not born killers. They come out of the womb pure. And then their minds is corrupted by the societal norms that we live in. And they're too young to fully understand the consequences of actions. They may know right from wrong, but there's a difference. So now when you work with children, you have to understand the difference between the two. Knowing right from wrong and fully understanding the consequences of actions when you're out here teaching these babies, man. A lot of these kids out here is born with intellectual disabilities, undiagnosed. Where when you understand the symptoms of intellectual disabilities, they have trouble in comprehension skills. They have trouble in understanding the consequences of action. They have developmental problems. And sometimes you may see them and they can do everything everybody else can do until you see them one-on-one. And you see that they're not intellectual. They're not able to intellectually break things down or take in information the way other children can. These kids are out in the street every day and they're being used to do all kinds of wicked and wild stuff. So we have to really start paying attention to our babies, man. Really start paying attention to our babies. We have to invest in our boys, invest in our girls, man. We have to make sure that they're reading right, their comprehension skills is right. We have to every day make sure that when we tell them something, they are fully understanding what we're telling them. It's heartbreaking when I go into these youth facilities, and we're not allowed to record because they're youth. But when Urban Nerds, we go into these youth facilities and I'm talking to these children, and I can clearly see that these children really, really don't understand what's about to happen to them. A lot of children is in there and they in there having a ball, they in there cheering, but I always tell them, like, you see guys that's older, that's been in for 20 years. They doing anything and everything they can to get out of prison. But when they 16 and 15, they're not thinking like that. They thinking that it's a badge of honor. They thinking that it's cool because they don't fully understand the scope and the trouble that they're in. It's the same way at home. It's the same way at home. You have to take time to talk to your children, sit them down and explain things, walk with them all the time. You have to do this because the task is getting our children to understand and comprehend the good things and the bad things in life. That's the challenges that we face in these inner city communities. Where we come from, my son can make one bad decision and it can cost him his life. One bad decision. It's sad and it's unfortunate, but those are the circumstances that were dealt with when you're growing up in the city of Philadelphia. So he has to comprehend and understand that which dad is telling him. And we have to start reinvesting back into our children, man. All right, that's all I wanted to say on this. Remember, leave your comments in the comment section. And remember, there's a difference between knowing right from wrong and fully being able to comprehend and understand the consequences of actions. Two totally different scenarios. Peace.